Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Deep True Crime. I'm Manny Rodriguez. In today's episode, I want to share with you what is it that we know, what is it that we don't know about the University of Idaho students who were brutally killed the morning of February 13th. I said that wrong. November 13th, 2022. I hope you don't hear that mowing out there all of a sudden. Don't you love it? Be right back. The investigation into the brutal murders of University of Idaho students Xana Kernodle, Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogen, and Ethan Chapin is now in its fourth plus week. We're literally going on almost 6 weeks, actually. This occurred November 13th, so it's actually been 5 weeks since this happened, and we really still don't know. We are 38 days into this investigation. Every individual connected to the case so far, from 2 surviving roommates to a victim's former boyfriend, has been publicly ruled out by police, and we're still trying to figure out what is going on here because we no suspect, we have no murder weapon found, and so details about the murders that shook this small college town of Moscow, Idaho, they really remain very thin for at least what the public knows at this time. Again, no murder weapon has been found nowhere near this, and there is a huge gap in the timeline for 2 of the victims who were at a fraternity party, and we don't know a big gap of that. Now, investigators, they have admitted that they are stumped by what has happened in this small, safe college town. And they have no suspects, they have no persons of interest on their radar, and they have given the public very little information. And so officials, they are sharing little by little updates, again, with not much given to us. We did find out about the white car. The question is, why haven't we been given that little piece of information from the very beginning? Why did they hold on to that piece of information so long? And so we want to dive a little deeper because police won't say what they know. They have resorted to trying to debunk any online theories that they know to be incorrect. But with each piece of information that is revealed or each theory that has been debunked, we get a lot more questions that emerge about the case. And so I want to take a deep dive into what is it that we do know, what do we not know at this time. And so we do know that the attack was targeted. Local police have said this multiple times. Early on in the investigation, it was described as a crime of passion by Moscow Mayor Art Betke and as personal by Police Chief James Fry. Police have since distanced themselves from those characterizations, and they've only revealed that they're operating on the belief that they don't believe the circumstances leading to the attack were random. Last week, Kaylee Goncalves' father, Stephen Goncalves, he said that officials have given vague information about the case and whether or not it was just one student who was the target or if multiple students were the target in this heinous crime. And so Mr. Goncalves, he has spoken multiple times, and one comment to CNN in an interview, he said, "I've been told it's one target, but then again, there's the bigness, like it's purposely big. I'm hoping, but it confuses everyone." Yeah, because nobody knows what that really means other than maybe somebody had a different kind of attack footprint. We all want to play a part in helping, and we can't move if we don't have any real substantial information to work from. That was his comment to CNN. What we don't know is Moscow police, they've refused to provide any more details as to why they think the girls were targeted. Officials, they're also staying silent around this whole thing on whether all of the 4 victims were intended targets or whether the killer targeted one victim with the rest simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. For example, Ethan, boyfriend of Xana, he was in bed with her when this killing occurred. He does not live there, so obviously that would seem like he was not a target in this killing. And so Captain Lanier, he said you're going to have to trust on that at this point because we are not going to release why we think that, referring to one of the girls or 2 of the girls being a target in this. And so Captain Roger Lanier, he said this during a press conference on November 23rd in response to why officials believe the killings were targeted. Aaron Snell with the Idaho State Police, he told Fox News Digital that information about the targeted murders is being handled with caution so as to not jeopardize the investigation. And so if we just provide information to the public, I just don't think that's going to be a wise choice. That's what he shared. Now, although behavioral analysts are working on a profile, it will only be used to refine the investigation and will not be released to the public because it could potentially put more fear, more suspicion on a wide variety of people. That's what he shared. Now, if you've been following this case, if they were to put a profile out there, these internet sleuths will be doxing a lot of people. That's kind of one of the sad things about this case. People want to play detective and they don't do it the right way. They're quick to throw people out there that may have nothing to do with this. People are even joking now saying, hey, I was doing this at this time, so don't come at me. Because they literally will throw someone under the bus to get, I don't understand it. It's kind of heartbreaking to be honest, because they're throwing innocent people. Literally, almost everyone's name that has been tied to this case by the internet sleuths have literally been looked deeper into. One man, Enan, I don't know how to pronounce his name right now. He shared a video footage sharing that I heard a scream, not necessarily a video footage, but he shared that he heard a scream. Before you knew it, the internet sleuths were getting deeper into his personal life and sharing his personal things. Like, how could anyone want to come forward if maybe they have a little sketchy thing that's in their past and they don't really want it to get out to everyone? They come forward and just do the right thing as a good Samaritan would. They're about to be doxxed big time. That's kind of scary stuff. Is it unfair? 100% unfair. Hey, I want this to be solved right now. I want this to be solved right now if I could. If it could be solved. I'm praying about this every day. Praying to God that this gets solved. But here we are. Again, 38 days later, we still don't have much information. And so officials, they have defended their work on the investigation thus far, telling the community it took time to process the sprawling crime scene, an off-campus rental home that was shared by Goncalves, Mogen, Kernodle, and 2 other surviving victims. There was a 6th person on the lease, but she allegedly has since didn't even live there at the start of the school year. I guess she might have graduated early. Don't really know all the information on that. But Colonel Kedrick Willis, he said, we understand you want answers. We want answers too. But these take time. That's what he shared. And if you think about it, 10,000 tips now, it's going to take some more time. It's going to take some more time. Now, Kaylee's sister, Olivia Goncalves, she told CNN, when asked if any law enforcement officials had shared that Kaylee was the target of the attack, her sister said they won't confirm who that was to us. Now, Forgive me if I'm sharing something that I don't have 100% proof on. But recently it's come about that maybe 2 of the victims had defensive wounds on it. If you can comment and let me know if this is accurate, I would appreciate that. I haven't had time to look deeper into this, but did 2 people have defensive wounds? To me, I would say if you have defensive wounds, you either woke up when this was happening to you and you tried to fight off, or you had defensive wounds. My guess is Ethan Chapin had defensive wounds. I'm guessing Xana, we did hear, had defensive wounds. Almost like they killed the 2 girls in the 3rd floor first and then went down after. Ethan might have heard something. Xana might have heard something, maybe theorizing this. Maybe Xana heard something. Ethan, being the man in the house at the moment, let me go see what's going on. That sounds scary. And then it happened to him. I don't know. I'm just theorizing. Again, playing detective behind closed doors, right? The way we like to do it. But that is a little theory that I have because they're not sharing, so I have to play with that on my own in this particular case. And so law enforcement has not been sharing much with this on us. And so on November 29th, the local prosecutor walked back the claim that the killings were targeted, admitting it perhaps isn't the best word to use to describe the brutal murders. It seems like the word targeted has different understandings for different people who are listening and perhaps isn't the best word to use. Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson tells News Nation this. He continues, the bottom line is whoever is responsible for this is still at large. That can't be changed. In yet another apparent walk back, hours later, the Moscow Police Department issued a statement saying investigators do not currently know if the attacks were targeted and accused Mr. Latah of miscommunication. That's what they shared with this in this story. And so what do we know about the murder weapon in this case? Well, Latah County Coroner Kathy Mabu revealed that each victim was stabbed multiple times with a large knife, describing their wounds as pretty extensive and revealing that they bled out inside their student's home. And she said, I've been a coroner for 16 years. We have had multiple victim murders in the past, but nothing like this. And police have now revealed that they believe the murder weapon was a fixed blade knife and confirmed that they had visited local stores to inquire about recent purchases. And so they believe that they're looking for a K-bar type military knife, also known as a Rambo knife. And so a local store owner previously said that officials had been especially interested in sales of a military-style K-bar knife. Now, one of the store owners locally, he refused to say whether sales have been an uptick in his business since this happened. I think that's a smart move. Keep your mouth silent about those things. I appreciate him not wanting to go too deeper. But we don't know about a murder weapon because no murder weapon has been found. And so we don't really know about this murder weapon because, again, it has not been found. And so, now we do know that Miss Mabu, the coroner, she described the crime scene as quite a bit of blood. DNA has been recovered from the home, which Mogen, Goncalves, and Kernodle shared with at least 2 other roommates. Those roommates were home at the time of the killings, but apparently were unaware of the murders until many hours later. Nearly 3 weeks after the killings, police revealed that a 6th person may have lived at the home. She was on the lease, but may have never actually been there. Now, police have taken more than 4,000 pictures of the residence after the murders. The door appeared to be unlocked with no sign of forced entry, and nothing seemed to have been taken. That's according to investigators in this around this crime. The bodies were found in the victim's bed on the second and third floor, leading authorities to believe they were asleep when killed. Miss Mabu, the coroner, she did say that the victims were in the bed. There have been other things that have come out that maybe they weren't all in the bed, like Ethan might have been found in the floor. Again, I may be out of hand sharing this, but I'm asking you, let me know in the comments, is this true? Can you share a link? Do it after the live, because I'm trying to focus on the story and not all the comments, because the comments can really add a lot, and a lot of people just want to come, get information, and be done. And so I'm trying to be respectful in all aspects of this story. Okay, so let me know in the comments, where did this information come from? Was it the internet sleuths saying that Ethan Chapin was on the floor in front of a door? Because that would lead me to believe that he heard something, then went out to see what was going on. And so there are more than 4,000 pictures of the residence after the murders. And so the door appeared to be unlocked, but how did we get to know more about this? And so the bodies were found in the victim's bed on the second and third floor of the home, which again, leading authorities to believe that they were asleep when they were killed. But we know Xana had defensive wounds. Was there a second victim who had defensive wounds? And was it Ethan? That we really won't know till later. But at a vigil on November 30th, Goncalves' father revealed that his daughter and Mogen were in the same bed when they were killed. And he even shared about the grossness behind this. And that was the first time we heard about them being in the same bed. That's what I mean. We're getting more information from Stephen Goncalves than we are from the law enforcement, but that's probably the right thing to do. But I'm not going to be upset if he wants to share something with us, because we're trying to figure out what went on. A lot of people, internet sleuths can be great at the job. Others can be terrible at it. People want justice for these girls, and some of them want to be the reason that it's solved. But at the end of the day, we all want the same thing, this to be solved. Now, Goncalves' parents had previously said that they had been told by authorities that the investigation is moving slowly because the killer left behind a mess of evidence. Again, we wait to find out more. Now, Steve and Christy Goncalves said they've heard from the police that the crime scene is sprawling and chaotic. They're telling us that there's so much evidence that it's going to take a lot of time to process it all. And now that there are 10,000 tips, more than 10,000 tips around this, well, that's going to also take a lot of time, right? Mr. Goncalves told Fox News they're telling us that there's so much evidence that it's going to take a lot of time to process it all. This wasn't like a pinpoint crime. This person was sloppy. In an interview nearly 4 weeks into the case, Mr. Goncalves revealed that the victims suffered big open gouges rather than simple stab wounds. Something else that we learned from Mr. Goncalves. First, right? We didn't hear that from law enforcement. A neighbor told Fox that the victims often hosted gatherings at the home and had a lot of people coming in and out of the residence, which could potentially complicate the crime scene analysis around this. What we don't know, it is not clear if the killer left their DNA at the crime scene. With officials believing the attack was targeted, it is possible that the perpetrator could have visited the home before that night. Let's be real. If there were some defensive wounds, someone fought this person back, which also leads me to believe that they had to leave their DNA behind. I would think it's impossible to stab 4 people and not leave behind some of your DNA. That, to me, I would think is impossible to do. Could be wrong, but I would think that's impossible to do that. What do you think about that? Let me know in the comments your thought process. Because I'm telling you, it feels like we get a lot more from Mr. Steven Goncalves. Excuse me for that. And so I truly believe that there was some DNA behind. On November 29th, Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson, he appeared to cast doubt on the belief that all 4 victims were found in their beds, which is probably why we have a little discrepancy where Miss Mabu did say, I could have sworn she did say that they were found in their bed. But, here we have Mr. Bill Thompson casting doubt on the belief that all of them were found in their beds. In an interview with News Nation, he refused to confirm the exact locations where the victims' bodies were found inside the student home, saying such information might only be known by the killer, which is why they cannot share as much. And the prosecutor says, as the victims who are deceased, I can't say for sure where they were found. And that would be one of the details that investigators would want to protect, as very few people would know the exact locations of the victims in the house. Now again, Mr. Goncalves is the one that said the 2 girls were found together in the bed, which I believe he got that information from Miss Mabu, the coroner. But Mr. Thompson also said that he didn't know if the victims' bedroom doors were left locked. Police have revealed that 2 of the victims were found on the 2nd floor and the other 2 on the 3rd floor, but have not confirmed who was there. And speaking of Fox News Digital, on November 30th, Idaho State Police Communications Director Aaron Snell revealed investigators are wrapping up their search of the crime scene despite the lack of progress. Let it be known we are on December 20th as of this video, and that is still a crime scene. It does not look like they have completely released that. And we continue to wait on that. But each individual so far linked to the murder investigation has now been ruled out as a potential suspect. So we do not know who the killer is, right? Moscow police have said that the 2 surviving housemates who were in the home at the time of the killings and the other friends who were in the home when the 911 call was made are not considered suspects. A man who was caught on camera with Madison Mogen and Kaylee Goncalves at a food truck in the downtown area before they headed home, and the private party who gave the pair a ride home from the truck have also been ruled out. Now, Goncalves' former long-term boyfriend, with whom she shares a pet dog Murphy, is also not being considered a suspect. Don't tell the internet sleuths that, because they don't believe that. This guy has been named as a top of their list multiple times. And so again, the internet sleuths trying to do the police's job, which again, some I'm okay with, some I'm not okay with. But the long-term boyfriend, that he is said to not be considered a suspect. The family has even said, no, we are 1,000% behind him. He is not the killer. He's not a suspect. And so in a twist, on November 6th, Moscow Police Chief James Fry, he told Fox News that cleared suspects could be re-interviewed. And Goncalves' family hired an attorney who they say could be re-interviewing a lot of these suspects. Again, we really don't know, because what we don't know is 2 weeks on from the murders, the killer or killers remain at large, with police admitting that they still don't have any suspects on their radar, and with not a single arrest yet made in the case. Officials are exploring the possibility that there is more than one perpetrator, but have given no further update on whether the investigation is leading them to or from that theory. The lack of substantial information from police has led to rampant speculation by experts unaffiliated with the case, as well as internet sleuths confusing the true facts about the investigation, which leads me to the point that they can play a little bit of role, but they don't play a very good role at this. When it comes to the motive, what we do know is the murderer targeted at least one of the victims, according to the police. What we don't know, it is not known if the killer personally knew one or more of the victims and whether this attack was carried out in a fit of jealousy, a fit of rage. What would lead someone to do this? We do not know. The autopsies revealed that the bodies did not show signs of any sexual assault. So we do know that that was not a motive in this case. And so what we do know is that a 911 call was made at 11:58 on November 13th. And it originated from the phone of one of the two roommates who survived the attack. A dispatcher was told there was an unconscious individual. Authorities have since revealed that other friends were present in the house when the 911 call was made after they were summoned by the roommates. So these friends had come over after roommates called them saying such and such person is unconscious. Okay, now if you've been following this story, you know there's been some back and forth on who made the call. A passerby made the call, a friend made the call. So we do not know, but we do hear that the call was made with a roommate's phone. But we don't know if it was a roommate that called the 911. We do know that a surviving roommate summoned friends to the residence because they believe one of the second floor victims had passed out and was not waking up. Second floor victims was Ethan and Xana. But this was a statement by Moscow Police Department, and so we do know that much. And they also shared that multiple people talked with the 911 dispatcher before a Moscow police officer arrived at the location. Officers entered the residence and found the 4 victims on the second and third floor. What we don't know is police have refused to reveal who made that 911 call, and they did not release any audio of the 911 call, right? And so now the police department did say that the contents are exempt from public disclosure because the records are active, it's an ongoing investigation, which, if released, would interfere with enforcement proceedings. But it is unclear what the roommates and other friends discussed in the call and what led them to describe a victim as merely unconscious. We don't know why they said unconscious. Because, let's be real, if it was Ethan or Xana and they were stabbed to death, wouldn't there be blood all over? So that's where we don't know. But it is also unclear what the roommates and friends saw inside the home before placing the 911 call. So we don't really know that piece of information either. What we do know about this timeline is, despite more details becoming available in the 2 weeks since the murders took place, key pieces of what happened in the early morning hours of November 13th continue to remain missing. Police have revealed that the victim's last steps, yet the timeline becomes blurry as the second part of the night of the murders progresses. On the night of November 12th, Goncalves and Mogen spent around 3 hours at Corner Club at the northern edge of Main Street. The pair walked straight down Main Street to a red brick building that used to host the now defunct Garden Lounge, which was a favorite food truck grub wandering kitchen, fondly called Grub Truck by its many local fans. Often parks outside on Main Street for those latecomers that want to eat late at night, right? Goncalves and Mogen, they ordered, laughed, and chatted with friends as they got their pasta carbonara. According to police, they got a lift home from a private party and returned to King Road around 1:56 a.m. Now, Kernodle and Chapin, they returned to King Road at around 1:45 a.m. The young couple, they had been out partying across the road at Sigma Chi fraternity. The other two roommates, they were at King Road, who have still not been named by authorities, had gotten home first around 1 a.m. and fallen asleep. According to police, Mogen and Goncalves, they made multiple calls to the same number around an hour after they got home. Goncalves' sister said the unanswered calls were placed to her ex-boyfriend, who dated her sister for years before they amicably split, still sharing the little dog, Murphy. He had been ruled out as a suspect. Now, authorities believe a killer or killers fatally stabbed Chapin and Kernodle, Goncalves and Mogen between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. as this phone call to the ex-boyfriend, where they were calling him multiple times, happened around 3 a.m., helping the timeline to know that they were still alive at that time. Their bodies weren't found until nearly 9 hours later, around noon on November 13th. What we don't know is Kernodle and Chapin's movements on the night of the murders are still unclear. Police said that the young couple were at the Sigma Chi party from around 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., but it is unclear where they were between 9 p.m. and 1:45 a.m. The area would have been busy at that time, surrounded by other student accommodations as other young people headed home too. Aside from the calls made by Goncalves, what happened when the four returned home also remains a mystery. And it is not known if the killer had entered the house before the victims arrived home and hid before striking in their sleep, or whether he entered the house after the students' return. It's also unclear when and how the suspect fled the home, or if he has already left Moscow. And so this white car, if you followed my video earlier today, this white car has been a big deal. Literally, it has been a big deal on the police radar for quite some time now, right? And so on December 7th, police announced that they are looking for the owner and occupants of a white Hyundai Elantra dated between 2011 and 2013 that was spotted near the crime scene in the early morning hours on the day of the murders. We don't know who called this tip in about the white Hyundai Elantra. We don't know how credible this is, but it is said that this white Hyundai Elantra has the people in it has critical information. Not been named as a suspect. They're just saying has critical information. And so it has marked the most substantial update in the more than 3 weeks since the investigation started. And so detectives did not reveal whether the owner is believed to be a suspect, but said that the occupants of the vehicle may have critical information to share regarding this case. The license plate is unknown, and the car was in the immediate area of the rental home on King Road in the early hours of November 13th. The murders are thought to have been taking place between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. when this car was spotted. And so the department said in a statement, if you know of or own a vehicle matching the description, or know of anyone who may have been driving this vehicle on the days preceding or the day of the murder, please forward that information to the tip line. Now, we have since found out that they are now investigating a white Hyundai that was left abandoned in Eugene, Oregon, about 8 to 9 hours from their driving distance. I think I saw it as like 700 miles or something like that. And so the development was quickly linked in online sleuth communities to body camera footage from a separate incident on the night of the killings, in which a Moscow police officer speaking to individuals less than a mile away from the crime scene. The interaction, which police said stemmed from an alcohol offense, took place just before 3 a.m., putting it right up against the window in which the students were thought to have been killed. And so this video drew rampant speculations online, especially in Reddit, of course, due to both this timestamp and the fact that a white vehicle was seen in the background. But Moscow police have since shut down any speculations around the video, on December 8th, about saying that the incident on the body camera footage is in no way connected to the murders, and the white car in the background is not the same one they are seeking information about. Another potential but unverified development around the vehicle came days later with reports that a white car was speeding past a gas station at 3:45 a.m. on the night of the killings. And that's that gas station footage that I had shared. Police have not commented on the video taken by a surveillance camera at the station about a 4-minute drive from the student rental home. So we really don't know, was that the car? Was not the car? We don't know that. We don't know the identities of the owner of the Hyundai Elantra, and its occupants remain unclear days after the police announced that their interest in this case. The connection those individuals may have had to the case is also a complete mystery, right? And so then, with this abandoned car in Eugene, it's definitely a Hyundai Elantra. It matches the date 2011 to 2013. And so, but police, it's literally, at the time of this video, it's still sitting there on the corner of 7th Street across from Panda Express. It's still sitting there. Moscow police is on this. They're investigating this abandoned car. And you can see how it's beat up a little bit, right? And so that's really about it until they tell us yay or nay. Right now, that is definitely a good clue that they need to follow up on. I mean, don't you think? I think that's a big clue in this matter of that. And so now we have to wait to find out about this, right? And then what about this Kaylee Goncalves having a stalker? What we do know is that Moscow Police Department said that they had found out through interviews that Goncalves had complained of a stalker. And then we find out that there's a couple instances referring to a stalker. But what we don't know is, despite looking extensively into concerns raised by police who knew Goncalves that she had complained about a stalker, police were unable to confirm these reports as of this time. Captain Lanier, he said, we obtained information through some of our interviews that Kaylee had made some comments about having a stalker. So that's where that came from. So far, we have not been able to corroborate that, but we are not done looking at that piece of information. There are some areas of interest in this case, right? And so investigators are currently seeking surveillance footage from 2 areas of interest around the city of Moscow as they hunt for the knife-wielding assailant. Businesses and homes within the geographical areas are being asked to share all outside surveillance video taken between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. on November 13th, whether there appears to be motion and content or not. The areas do include West Taylor Avenue, northbound, West Palooza River Drive, south boundary, Highway 95, south to the 2700 block of Highway 95, southeast boundary, and Arboretum and Botanical Gardens, west boundary. Captain Lanier says that investigators have determined the 2 areas of interest within the city and have provided maps which are on our Facebook page and on our website. And he continues, and these are areas that they have canvassed for additional surveillance videos and tips and have contacted several residents in the area. What we don't know is police have not revealed why they are owning in on these particular areas of the city. The highway and Arboretum are around the route that Kernodle and Chapin are likely to have taken to get Sigma Chi to the off-campus home. Now, there has even been a little backtracking when it comes to these safety concerns, right? What we do know is that backtracking from previous comments, Moscow police have confirmed that there is still a threat as the killer remains at large. Asked at a press conference days after the killings how he could be sure that there was no danger, Chief Fry then said, that's kind of unknown. We still believe it's a targeted attack, but the reality is there's still a person out there who committed horrible, horrible crimes. So there is a threat out there still possibly. We don't know it's going to be to anybody else, but we all have to be aware of our surroundings and make sure that we are watching out for each other. That's what was shared. And so what we don't know is authorities have not revealed whether they believe the perpetrator has left Moscow already. Now, there have been potential links to other incidents because there was a month before the murders, the university security issued a vandal alert to students and staff warning them about an assailant armed with a knife. The warning on September 12, described as the threat with knife, reported that a group of students had been walking through the campus when the man threatened them with a knife. The assailant was described as a white male aged 18 to 22 years old who was dressed in all black. No one was harmed in the incident, but officials felt the need to alert students and staff to the threat. Meanwhile, police said that reports of a skinned dog 3 miles from the crime scene 3 weeks ago are not related to the murders. And so we knew that was debunked, right? Police also said that an incident in which 2 young females reported that a male had broken into their car is not believed to be linked to the murders. So that was also, debunked. The case was closed in that particular case, meaning that the incident cannot be substantiated. Investigators also explored the possibility that the quadruple murders might have been connected to a 2021 unsolved stabbing murder 400 miles away, but have since said there is no link between the crimes. Travis Jewton and Jamie Jewton were attacked in their home in Salem, Oregon by a masked assailant who broke in armed with a knife, the Marion County Sheriff's Office said at that time. Mr. Jewton tried to fight off the attacker but was stabbed to death while his wife miraculously survived. Despite the victim's family putting up a $50,000 reward for information leading to the killer, more than 1 year on, the case remains unsolved. And, so similarities were drawn between the stabbings and the slayings of Goncalves, Mogen, Kernodle, and Chapin. Chief Fry had confirmed that the Oregon killings was on the radar, but issuing a statement on Friday saying that the department had not found relevant evidence that the cases were connected. He said, while these cases share similarities, there does not appear to be any evidence to support the cases are related. So that's what we do know. But what we don't know is authorities have not confirmed or ruled out that the incident on campus in September could be linked to the murders. They also haven't revealed what evidence made them rule out the incident in which the dog was filleted. It is unknown whether Moscow authorities have reached out to the Marion County's office to obtain firsthand accounts about the investigation. And so now we did find out that the lead investigator in the murders is a U.S. Army vet with just 2 years of police experience. This is a big deal for a lot of people, right? How could you not have some of your best detectives? I'm not trying to say he's not one of the best or anything like that. My question though is, he's only on the case he's only been for 2 years. And so the FBI, they've added a lot more investigators into this, but the lead investigator of the 4 Idaho students is a 32-year-old U.S. Army vet who only joined law enforcement 2 years ago. Here we are 5 weeks later on this brutal killing, and their killer remains on the loose and the floundering Moscow Police Department has yet to name any suspects. And I'm glad they've added these 30 extra agents to help in this effort to bolster their case, right? To help find them. But now the lawyer for Kaylee's family has told her parents were told yesterday that the man in charge of the probe, Brett Payne, has been on the force for just 2 years. Does that mean that he's not capable of doing this? Absolutely not. And they say that attorney Shannon Gray told News Nation's Banfield, "We are supportive of the investigation and everybody working on it, but we also have to hold people accountable for the decisions that they're making." When went into the meeting on Monday, Brett Payne is the individual who identified himself as the lead investigator on the Moscow Police Department. This is the first time we're hearing about Brett Payne, right? At least this is the first time I'm hearing about it. And so here he is. He is the lead investigator in this. My understanding is he was hired in 2020 as a rookie. He has a total of 2 years experience. That's what attorney Shannon Gray said. And she says, "I sent an email over to the Moscow Police Department asking them to send some credentials over for some experience or some education that Officer Payne might have that would give us some confidence." And their response was, "It's personal records and we are not privy to that." And so Shannon Mail, sorry, I think I said she, DailyMail.com can reveal that before joining the Moscow Police Department, Payne served in the 82nd Airborne Division in Afghanistan. Officer Payne joined the Moscow Police Force. His first year policing job in 2020 is awarded Rookie of the Year. In the police department's annual report from the year, the department praised him extensively and gushed over his performance in the police academy. And Officer Brett Payne was awarded the Champs Rookie of the Year award. Officer Payne brings a great deal of experience to the Moscow department because of his military service. Hopefully he can this would put him on the map if he actually solves this, right? And so I thought Chief Fry was leading this, but obviously he's not an investigator, so I don't know why I thought that. But they have been sharing information. But why did Idaho cops take 20 days to reveal a white Hyundai Elantra was spotted near the scene of the brutal quadruple murder, right? And so that is a question that I have and other people have as well. And we find out this information finally, right? But why did it take them so long? So here we have police investigating the murders of this. And then, this happened a while ago. They received footage on November 14th. But it wasn't until December 7th that the investigating department asked the public for help searching for this white car. Landlord Kane Francetic, a local property owner, handed cops the surveillance footage from his 6-unit rental building about 0.3 miles from the crime scene, which showed a light-colored car Moscow police say could be key in this investigation. And so the question is, why did it take so long for them to get it out here where we can actually be looking for this? That is a question that I have in reference to this. But I'm so glad that they added so many more FBI agents to help with this case, because they're not solving it as is, and we want this solved. We literally want this solved. So the FBI has increased the number of agents working on the case of the 4 murdered University of Idaho students. And so now there are about 62 FBI agents, including 4 members of the Behavioral Analysis Unit working on the case. And it is said to be up from 46. So we wait to see if this really helps, because someone has to know. But again, they have received 10,000 tips, so they definitely need all the help that they can get from this crime scene. And so, as well as the 62 FBI agents, there are 11 Moscow police department detectives and staff, and 28 Idaho State police officers that are working on this case as well. And so, Moscow Police Chief James Fry, he said that we have had right around 10,000 tips come in. So that's a lot of tips to be going through. And hopefully it helps. Do you think that will help? Let me know in the comments if you think that will help. And so what I am sad about is that the family members of these victims have been harassed by the public. This is according to their attorney Shannon Gray. The family of one of the 4 Idaho students butchered in their beds are now being harassed by members of the public, according to the family's lawyer. Kaylee Goncalves' family has been the most vocal throughout the 5-week investigation into the brutal murders, and her father has spoken often to some news outlets, and at points he has aired his frustration with the investigation and with law enforcement, and now they're slamming him again. Why? I don't understand. But her family, Kaylee Goncalves' family, they say that they can't celebrate Christmas without her. Her father has said that the family won't be able to celebrate Christmas this year, and he is about to face the first holiday season without his 21-year-old daughter. And he tells Fox News, to be honest, we're not even really going to have a Christmas because you just can't get yourself there to where it would make sense. One of my children, the youngest one, is going to go away with a family as they are going to have the normal type of Christmas. She deserves that. They have a 17-year-old who was recently in the news because Kathy Mabu is the one that shared with her, the 17-year-old, about the big open gouges. Why would the coroner share that with a teenager? I'll never understand that. And he says, but for us, we can't do that. It's too close to our heart. And how do you have a celebration like this when you've lost 2 of your favorite people in the world? He's referring to his daughter and her best friend, Madison Mogen. That was his daughter's best friend who the family saw as one of their own. And so Kathy Mabu, she revealed that each victim was stabbed multiple times with a large knife, describing their wounds as pretty extensive. And so she's been around the block a few times with 16 years of experience. But, this new video footage that came out about who is Adam, who is said to be the bartender and best friends with the ex-boyfriend. But Stephen Goncalves, he says, there's nothing there. Stop wasting time. My friends, I'm Manny Rodriguez. This is what we do know. This is what we still don't know as we are into this 38 days later. We still don't know. My friends, if you are a person of prayer, please pray that we get justice. Please pray. Before I even started this video, I prayed in hopes of let's get the right things out there. Let's share, let's solve. I just want to see justice for this family. I want to see justice for these victims. My friends, I'm Manny Rodriguez, and this has been another episode of Deep True Crime. I look forward to being a voice for the victims in the near future, and I'm here to help you know this is the crazy world we live in, and look how bad it can be. Be alert, be aware, and if you really stop and think about it, I don't know how these kids could have avoided this. I don't know. Poor Ethan was over there with his girlfriend, as college students do. And I believe it was Kaylee or Maddie who was in town to show off her car, as students normally do. And here we are, 38 days later. We don't even have answers yet. My friends, I'm Manny Rodriguez. This has been another episode of Deep True Crime. Until next time, my friends, peace. Have a great day.